Our coaches on duty tonight. We head to the west to join Justin Longmuir. Justin, great to have you back on this program.
Great to be on.
Adam Kingsley, the Giants coach, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Looks like the day meant a bit to Toby.
Yeah, it certainly did. Meant a bit to all of us. He certainly led the Chargers by the front, though. Outstanding game. Impacted both on defence and on offence. His numbers looked unbelievable, but it was his work in and around the contest. Centre bounce. Stuff that was really impressive for us.
It's a sense of, you had some of your big guns out through the middle. You've had a few out for a while now. Callaghan goes out. It was almost as if he said, "Yeah, stand aside, let me at it." He's got that sort of personality.
Oh yeah. Well, you know very well that he has. He's he was eager to put on a really good display. Obviously for his milestone game, but more importantly to get our season a little bit back on track. JL's mob knocked us off and embarrassed us a bit last week, so we're pretty keen to bounce back from that.
What sort of captain is he? We know what sort of player he's been, and we've tracked his career. He's matured and grown into himself, and he's a terrific young lad now. But what sort of captain is he? Is he a full responsibility captain? Is he at you all the time? What's he like? Yeah,
he's really invested. He's full of great ideas, and he certainly offers them up on every occasion. He's passionate about making this club great, about winning, about trying to get our first premiership in the cabinet, about making his teammates better, about making himself better. He does all that. He's certainly very articulate in the way that he delivers game plan to his teammates. He's full of great ideas off the field around, hey, what if we tried this, or could this player play in this position? He's at times quite forthright in his opinions, which I really love. But he is, on the other side, he's very caring for his teammates. He's very supportive, and you know what he does when he gets on the field. He does his best to lead from the front and lead by example. So he's a wonderful captain.
Justin, your captain, Alex Pearce. What's his view of the current suspension that sits over him?
Oh, his view is he's hard done by. He's really disappointed with the result that got handed down by the MRO, and hence we're going to go and fight it, I think, tomorrow night at the tribunal.
On what grounds are you looking to fight it?
I haven't covered that off yet. I haven't got the update on that. As I walked down here, they were talking to the lawyers about, the specifics. So I'm not 100% across that, Gerard.
What's your view then?
Well, my view is that, it was a really difficult situation. Both players found themselves in. We ask our players to play the ball. That was a snap out of a congested situation. Alex has made a play on the ball, and Burn Jones has got there a fraction earlier than Alex. I was so strong on it after the game is because I didn't think Alex turned to brace and bump. I thought Alex, if anything, left himself open as well on impact, and I just see that as a footy act. And I have sympathy for Burn Jones. You never like to see players get subbed out of the game with concussion, but I'm not sure there's a lot of 200-centimetre guy running at full pace thinking he's going to take a chest mark in the wet is able to do in that situation.
And just on that view there, that front-on view, is there some conjecture about whether the head-high contact was made there and perhaps more so whiplash than him hitting the ground or not?
Yeah, well, that's the way I see it from that angle. But yeah, it's whether the AFL see it the same. I think there's a bit of whiplash, and I also think his head hits the ground when he goes to ground. So Alex clearly hasn't turned and braced in that situation. I think it's the footy act.
Adam, I don't know whether you want to buy in on it, but have you got a gut reaction to that, having looked at it for the first time, I think?
Oh, the thing that I kind of noticed in the clips you're showing is Pearce's eyes. What are his eyes doing? And I think it looked like to me his eyes on the ball the whole way, and then the last split second his eyes realised that there's going to be a collision, and he turns his head and closes his eyes to absorb it, I suppose. But yeah, you're right. I think he does. He potentially could have gone the other way, the way that he left himself open like that. I don't think there was any malicious intent at all.
Adam, the most recent relevant precedent, I think, involves Toby Greene. It was round 6 last year. It was a collision with Jordan Boyd. He was suspended. Yes. Boyd was uninjured. And I just went back over the notes of that case, and the prosecution, so this is the AFL, said Greene's obligation was to protect Boyd. That once he realised Boyd was coming with the flight of the ball, he had to take proper care of him. I remember thinking at the time that is a big flip in the duty of care. How difficult are these scenarios with a player coming with the flight of the ball?
Oh, extremely difficult. I think if you compare that one to the one we just watched, you know, Toby turns his body, whereas Pearce didn't. So I don't know if that has any relevance at all. But yeah, you know, Boyd wasn't hurt in this one. It just looked a bit nasty, but. Yeah, what did he get a week for that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But the other part of this, JL, is that there's no... Not that I know you guys are going to try and get him off completely, but there's no scope for anything other than 3 weeks, which makes it, you know, inflammatory to a large degree.
Yeah, that's correct from my understanding as well, Gary. So we either get him off or it stays at 3.
Do you think there'll come a moment in this evolution of the game, Justin, where we contemplate the player running with the flight of the ball and what the dangers there are?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's one I've been trying to sort out in my head is who has the right to that space. Is it the guy coming at the ball or the guy going back with the flight? And yeah, I'm a little bit staggered that it's Toby Greene's responsibility to look after the guy coming back into that space, and that not being Toby's space. So it's a tricky one. And I just know that, you know, the captain of a football club pulls out of that contest early and Burn Jones goes back and marks it uncontested. I feel Pearcey would get crucified for that. So, you know, we ask our players to commit 100% to contests, and I'm sure Pearcey had the right intent to go and mark that, but it's just a really, really tricky situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, well, we will watch with great interest and continue to be educated, I guess. Adam, the win against a side who were in desperate situation as well, you must be thrilled with the response, given that, you know, you had a couple out as well.
Yeah, certainly thrilled with it. And you're right, it was a response from the week earlier, and, you know, we were disappointed with that game. Clearly outplayed, so we were keen to do something about that. And we knew the Blues were going to be a tough challenge. You know, they've got a lot of really good players, and their game is in good order. So we were fully aware of that. So to be able to get down there and step out in what was a really big game for us, not only, as I said, with Toby's milestone, but the fact that we needed to get our season back on track was really pleasing.
And games into Ralston and Lear and Fonte and Ware and Angove. Yeah. I mean, these are some young kids running around out there.
Yeah, Harvey Thomas as well. Cadman is a young key forward. So we feel like we've got and are building some really good depth and developing these players into first-choice players. And as I said, we're all really happy with the moments that they've had. They're really exciting young guys coming through, and they provide a little bit of juice for the older boys. You know, we're hoping to get a few of these guys back in this week and the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we're pretty happy with the way that these young fellas are attacking their opportunity.
Justin, in your form, have you levelled out your form after a bit of up and down stuff for a while?
Oh, we certainly hope so, Gerard. Yeah, we feel like we've found our level of consistency the last 3 weeks. I know we didn't get it done against Collingwood, but, you know, the way we played the game, and, you know, inside 50s were plus 28, and then, against GWS we were really proud of that performance and backed it up again. And I think, you know, both clubs are in similar situations where we've probably got some injuries to our older players and forced to play some younger players, which has made us a little bit younger than we'd like, and that's bred some inconsistency in our game in particular. But I feel like, the last 3 weeks in particular, we've we're valuing the right things, and we're putting our efforts into the areas that we need.
At the risk of annoying you, Justin, has it become self-evident that Luke Jackson does in fact play his most damaging footy as your lone ruckman?
I understand the argument. I understand. We've seen his last 2 weeks in particular, or even his first 5 or 6 before he got injured, were really, really strong in the ruck. Yeah, I see those strengths. I see the ruck craft. I see the follow-up second efforts, but also understand that Luke can be used in other areas, and at times it's what the team needs, and sometimes we might need him forward, and sometimes Sean Darcy might be a better match up against some of the bigger monsters that do play in the ruck. So, like I said post game, I don't think it's a bad problem to have if you got two really good ruckmen like we do.
Murphy Reid had his first game. He set a high bench mark, and I think we forget about these first-year players. So some people suggesting he'd been quiet, but he's had a sensational first year. What's the ceiling for him, do you think?
Well, we think the ceiling is going to be in 3 or 4 years' time. He's going to be in the midfield for us. We drafted him as a midfielder, but he's just got. He's got too much talent to be out of the team, and I think probably the previous 2 games of the season, starting like our intra club and against Melbourne in the pre-season, he just ate up everything we threw at him as a forward, and we got a few injuries to our forwards, and he just took that opportunity when it presented. He's still learning his forward craft, and that's probably why there's some inconsistencies with his hitting the scoreboard and the possessions he gets, because he's still learning the running patterns and the reactions. They are different as a forward than what they are as a mid. But we saw the cleanliness, the decision making, the evasion on the weekend, which is going to hold him in good stead when we do eventually put him in the midfield.
Are you hopeful that the rising star judges have a keen eye to the West at the moment for him?
Oh, I don't get caught up in that too often. I think, I'm guessing they're looking at all the games. It's their job as a panel. His top end games have been really, really strong this year, and what he did on the weekend was superb. And he's had a couple of games like that now. So I hope they're watching.